In this video, we're going to talk about some of the basics of WordPress. So I have my WordPress site pulled up here, and you can see it's in a folder or directory called Travel on my main website. So I only have WordPress installed in that one folder. You can of course install it to run your whole website in your public HTML or main folder. The key thing to learn with WordPress is the different types of content. So WordPress, after all, is a content management system, or CMS. So the content is really the key thing. That's what's being managed. So this site really only has two pages. I have this home page, which looks like that, and then I have this welcome page. So all of these things on the side, which are usually called widgets, these I can choose and reorder in my WordPress settings. This here is my content. These things have been generated by analyzing my content. So this is a list of recent posts. This just takes the topic tags that I put on each post and makes a relevance word cloud. And then this is more of a administrative nuts and bolt type of thing. So if I go back to my home page and start scrolling, so I've got all this stuff that's generated from looking at my content on this side, and we can see that these are all posts. So the posts hold content that I've designed, but you can actually do an entire website in WordPress without even using posts. So having posts was the reason that WordPress was initially born, because blogging was real in back in the day. And when WordPress was born about 15 to 18 years ago, that was a big selling point for people. So essentially what I've done here is chosen a theme which defines how this website looks. I've made some alterations in colors, fonts, sizing, spacing through custom CSS on top of that theme. I've chosen options for the sidebar. I've chosen a menu type, and then I've entered the content, and the theme then handles how that content is displayed. So I've told the site to have two pages and to display my posts most recent first on the home page. So let's log in and see what this looks like. Now you notice here that once you've got your WordPress site installed, it's always going to be in the location you installed it and then /wp-login.php. So PHP is a server code that's going to translate between the input of the user and the display for the viewer. All right, so this is what your WordPress dashboard will look like. It looks like a lot. We're going to come over here and see we've already got these two things I talked about before, pages and posts. So I'm going to click on pages, and we look at this long list. Notice that all these say draft, except for the welcome page, and my home page, which is automatically generated based on posts, doesn't need to be here because the content management system goes and manages my content and does that for me. So I'll hop over here to posts before we come back and talk about pages more. And here you can see all of the posts. So this is me entering content, and essentially WordPress is just kind of showing us a visual friendly database. So it logs all of this content in a database and then uses that PHP code in the software that installs when you install WordPress on your hosting, and then it can display a nice clean web page. So let's go back to pages, and I'm going to open up my welcome page by clicking edit. We can take a look at what's actually here. So WordPress now has this sort of block design for editing pages. So here we've got a big heading. Here there's an H3 type heading, so we can see those HTML elements here. And then I chose a paragraph. So here we've got some little quick HTML editing buttons. We have links, we got removing links. We have bulleted or unordered lists. We have ordered lists, block quotes, alignment options, all these basic HTML tags that we're already familiar with. Over here on the side, if we click on document, we can see some more settings. So I can see the original date this was published, the chosen visibility, the author. So if you have multiple people inputting content into a site, which is a bonus of having a content management if that's the case, you have multiple users inputting content who don't know how to code or don't want to know how to code, it's handy to keep track of who did what. There's a revision history. There is a place to generate a permanent link. And there's also some general layout options. So not only have we created the content, we've also provided some settings. And then when I go back to all pages, those pages become items in the database. So not only is the content in there, but the pages, the naming, and all of that is included as well. Now if I click Quick Edit on here, this gives me some of those things that I saw over on the right side of my page. We can allow or not allow comments. So if you're going for something that's more page-based, like a website, rather than blog type, using posts, you can choose to just turn off all the comments, and then without the comment area, it'll look more like pages of websites rather than blog with posts as well. So I'm going to click cancel on here. So let's go back to posts now that we understand what pages are. And if I click quick edit on here, it looks similar, except now I've got this categories box where I've chosen the relevant categories, and that's what helped generate that word cloud widget. So I've got categories, I've got tags, those things both influence that widget. I've got the same status information. This box here that is called slug, this is automatically generated by WordPress as part of the database system behind the content you're entering. And the slug is something that you can edit if you want. So this ends up in the page name. So I'm just going to click cancel here real quick. And I'm going to hover over the name of this WordPress site, go down to visit site, and I'm going to command click that. And that'll open in a new window. So I'm going to open up this post in sort of the live published view. And we can see the slug up here. So the slug becomes part of the URL. And if it includes actual words that are in the title, then it's going to help your search engine optimization and things like that. So if you're getting sort of gibberish ones, it is good to edit them. You'll also notice that WordPress automatically stores everything based on the month, day, and year when it was added by users. So this is true of images, it's true of PDFs or Word documents that you upload to be downloads for your user. Everything is going to be categorized that way. So if I choose to open this image in a new tab, we can see here that there's that same month and year coding as well as uploads, which means it's in an uploads folder. It was uploaded in 2019 and it was uploaded in August, and then there's the file name. So it makes a lot of sense. And WordPress has gotten better about this over the years. But every time you create a post or a page, look at that slug and see if it could be improved. So this is a pretty simple post. It's got some basic type styles in it, a couple of different levels of H tags as well as P, images, some links within the site and elsewhere. And then at the bottom, we can see the categories and all of those tags. So going back into my dashboard, if I go to Appearance and then Themes, this is where I'm choosing the visual side of things that I'm going to start with. So these are all the themes that I've tried or played with or that came automatically installed when I set WordPress up the first time. So to shop for one, you can click Add New Theme, it's wise to do a feature filter. This has some content related features. This has some general categories of content. And this one has layout features. What's not here is an option to filter for custom CSS. So it's important that you pick a theme that does let you do custom CSS. If you pick a really basic theme, you're probably going to end up pretty limited. If you want to, you can search for something like Bootstrap, and it's going to offer you themes that are built on the Bootstrap framework. So we've got a web framework embedded in a content management system. But when it comes time to do some custom CSS or something, you're going to be already familiar with the way that Bootstrap works. So I'm going to click on this one here, and I'm going to choose Preview. And I can take a look, I can skim this. I don't see any mention of custom CSS. These things here, like Elementor, is sort of an extra page builder option, which helps you create pages quicker by having more elaborate modules rather than just heading, text, picture. So things a little bit more advanced than just the typical WordPress options. I'm going to go up here and type in custom CSS. So I'm going to click on one of these and say preview. So this one only has one rating, it's 2 stars. That's probably a red flag. Check this one out. So this one mentions that it has custom CSS. That's a great thing. So you could put this one kind of in the running. Now remember, a good theme is probably going to let you edit things like fonts. So I can tell by looking at this that this looks like Lotto, which is a Google font. That should be able to be changed. So when you pick the one you want, you can click Install, and then that will show up in your installed themes. This button here that says Upload Theme, you could go somewhere and download the files of a theme that will come packaged in a zip file, and you can click on this and upload that. And since WordPress is installed, it knows how to expand that file and install the theme for you. So I'm going to click back here on themes. Once you install a theme, it'll show up here. It's generally a good idea to have these stay updated. So I'm going to go to Customize. And this is where your editing will take place. So this is kind of like a live preview in Dreamweaver terms, but it's got a little bit more going for it, because I could click on this and it will take me to the section of my customization settings where that option is. So I can type something new in, it shows me the preview, great. If I want to save that, I need to click Publish. I'm not necessarily saving copies, I'm saving it to my web host, and it will automatically update that page. So this font is pretty flexible and it has been really great to work with. So under fonts, I can see I have many options, and it gives me several Google font options that are already installed. Same with colors, it breaks it down by section. So I could go to my menu and you can see this tealish blue color. That's the background and the text color. Same with buttons. So these are all fairly straightforward. Sometimes things like header media will be a little bit more complex. This one even lets me upload a video. This site even lets me choose to have overrides on those pages that display my individual posts. So if I go into this post here, the top image changes based on what I defined when I was building the post to be the featured image. So that's a nice sort of subtle customization feature. So coming down to additional CSS. since you do know CSS, and we also know how to use the inspect feature in Chrome, if there's something you don't like, we can look it up and figure out how to fix it. So over here in this window, I could right-click on this thing, choose Inspect, and I can see that that's my H1 with the class entry title. Back over here, I can see I have settings for H1 and settings for my entry title class. So I've done things like adjust margins, adjust padding. I've hidden entire elements. So I didn't like this little avatar that automatically displayed. So I just got rid of it with a simple display none. I've made some text styles changes, text size changes, added a shadow on some titles. So all of these things you already know how to do, you can use to get your WordPress site looking exactly how you want it, while still having it save you a lot of time by building the pages. However, that does mean that you have to have a theme that lets you do custom CSS or additional CSS. Some themes will use one term, other themes will use another. So this set of options on the side is defined by the theme. So you might see a theme that you love, you install it, and you have like 3 options, and you can't really get it to perform how you want for the content and design idea for your site. So it may take some fiddling around to get your theme figured out so that it's flexible enough for what you need it to be. So back here in my dashboard, the other options here, we've got media. So this is going to show all the pictures I've uploaded. And you could also have other files like PDF and Word files I've linked on other sites to be downloads, like forms people can print and download, fill out. They'll all be organized according to that month and year system. And you can either come into your library and add a new file here, or as you write, when you choose to insert something, the option to do so, and everything just gets added to this library. So when you upload an image, you're given the chance to give it a title, which I would definitely recommend. Captions I haven't used as much, but you can choose to have them visible. Alt text would be a good idea to make this better for screen readers. So often, for me anyway, that's similar to the title, and you may want to add something like beautiful landscape on here. A description can be useful if you're going to have a lot of pictures that are similar. So I'm going to close out of this, and if I choose something like fairy, it's going to show me all the pictures that have fairy in the description, the caption, the title, any of those things. So if you're going to have tons of pictures, good naming is really important. So plugins are another feature of most CMSs. WordPress has a ton because WordPress powers currently about 1/3 of the entire internet. So it's a great place for people to try out some new things. So I've got some like anti-spam things on here, because if you post anything and allow comments, you will get tons of spam. And I've got things in here like some backups. I've got a Google Maps thing in here. I was playing around with forms. So there's probably a plugin for something that you need, and you can probably get it for free. So if you're going to do something more involved like forms, you are probably going to need a plugin. Here under users, this is where you can add people. So if you were building this out for use of an organization of some kind, you could create new user accounts, give them default passwords, include their email. They'll be sent an email to prompt them to sign up. And you can assign them roles or permissions. So if you just want someone to have the ability to add content, then they can be an author or a contributor to the site, but don't give them the admin privileges. If you're working with other designers or you're going to pass this off to someone who's going to add features, they definitely should be an administrator. So going into settings, this has some really high level options in it. So the entire site title, which in my theme I could edit in the customization area where we were before. The tagline can be important for search engines. A lot of times it can just be hidden if you don't want it to appear in your site. The URL is important so it knows where the site lives and can format links correctly. And including time and date formatting is important because remember, you're working with a content management system and it's going to apply these things and tag things in the database as you enter them automatically. So especially if you're working in a group, make sure you've got the date and time set correctly so you can keep track of what's happening. There are several other options here, and a lot of these aren't going to be too important for how we're using this just to build a simple little site. Under media settings, this is going to show you how WordPress handles images. So if you go and upload huge files, it's automatically going to create 3 copies at these sizes. So WordPress does this automatically so it has an appropriate size image to use for every circumstance. It still means that if you're going to upload massive files that really don't need to be that big, you should optimize them correctly yourself first. So this box here lets you decide whether or not you want to organize your uploads this way. If there's a specific reason that you don't want to, you can certainly uncheck that. It's a good idea to keep your content management system up to date because a lot of times it'll include some security fixes. So if you ever have one of these, you can choose Please Update Now and click Update Now. And a lot of these plugins I don't have active right now. They're things that I played with as I've been learning about WordPress. Update those as well. You can also turn on automatic updates in your settings, which might be helpful. Also under Appearance, things like menus and header, background. The theme I have here, header and background, are kind of more easily edited in the theme settings. I'm going to click on menus here and we can see some options. So this has a built-in sort of suggestion, this theme, to have a social links menu. So if I just drop this down, it's really simple. I can change the label, the link, it'll update. Awesome. I could remove it. I'm just going to click cancel. So my site, because it only has the automatically generated homepage and the welcome page, looks pretty simple. It only has these pages. Those are the only ones it's going to show. You could also do navigation with posts, but that can get a little bit in-depth and confusing if you've got a lot of posts. You could add a custom link to your menu that would go to an external URL. Or you could have navigation by categories. And again, the categories only relates to posts and not pages. Under Manage Locations, you could add certain menus, like if I wanted to add a footer menu, I could choose this top menu, which is what I called what's on my site. So I could add that to my footer as well as the header. So that is your crash course in WordPress. Key things are remembering the differences between posts and pages, finding a good theme that has good options under the Customize setting, using widgets that may help you or turning off ones that you don't want, setting up other users and basic settings so that they work for the purpose you're designing the website, and making sure that if you don't want to allow comments on things, to just not allow them at all. And finally, looking for plugins that can help make your content more interactive, more helpful for your user, and better serve your content and the purpose of your site. So that's all for this video. Good luck as you set up your WordPress site.